There is so much to watch when these two star-studded rosters get together.
Hit 'em clean, yeah, they drop. Make 'em scream on the block. Here come my team with the rock. Pick up steam, we can't stop.
A guy that's done everything they designed for him to do since coming to town.
And he smokes it. Oh, my! And the Cubs unloading. Another homer. He's kind of been a highlight in the Cubs lineup so far.
We can't stop. We can't stop.
It is Baseball Tonight Live, coming to you from Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri. June, I've been to the top of that arch, and it's as scary as one would imagine. Throwing some bags, Cubs, Cardinals in the rubber match thus far this series. They've split them. Looks like we have some internal issues there with that family. Somebody likes the Cardinals, somebody likes the Cubs. Somebody's going to win Game 3, and we are going to get you prepared for first pitch here in just about 30 minutes. Joon Lee, Gary Striewski coming to you from our Bristol studios in Studio E. Clinton Yates will join us from somewhere at some time in this program. That's the only thing that I can promise you, as well as Jesse Rogers, to talk about what's going on the north side and on the south side. But June, of course, we're starting with Cardinals and the Cubs. So let's start with the NL Central. The Cards in first place. The Cubs just 3 games back at this point. But it's kind of weird, right? Because we didn't expect the Cubs to kind of be in a bit of a precarious position in terms of the players on their roster playing well, but kind of not expected to do much, correct?
Yeah, they're kind of in this weird in-between place from a franchise building standpoint. Obviously, Theo Epstein left and Jed Hoyer has taken over. This is not the Cubs dynasty that many people predicted after they won the World Series a couple of years ago. Chris Bryant is now 30 years old. Javi Baez is 29. Anthony Rizzo 32. They're in this place where they're not really going for it all the way, but also not rebuilding. And so they're in this transition year where they kind of have to decide, all right, are we going to re-sign these guys and then try to go all in for the playoffs again? Or are we going to let some of these guys go and try to do a rebuild? And so they're in this weird no man's land right now where I'm not really sure it's the best direction for the franchise to be, especially in baseball, where you want to have that top draft pick to get as much good talent, young talent as possible, or you want to be in the playoff race and have a shot at the World Series.
You were talking about a lot of young talent and building for championships. It's kind of hard to think that it was 5 years ago at this point that the Cubs broke the curse. So a lot of the names on that list you saw right there, notable free agents going into next season, are tickling 30 or north of 30. And those were the young 20-somethings that was supposed to be the next dynasty in baseball, which we're going to talk about now as we welcome in Jesse Rogers, who covers all things Cubbies and White Sox. We're going to talk about the Cubs first, Jesse. And you heard June kind of mention it. Being in a no man's land, especially in professional baseball, with how long the season is the worst position you can possibly be at. So with all of those names and the Cubs as presently constructed, what do you see them doing?
I see them selling, as crazy as that sounds, or at least doing a partial sell, depending on where they are in the standings, of course, come late July. Now, if they're in first place with a bullet, 5-6 games up, that might change the dynamic. So something dramatic like that could change things. But this is a fascinating storyline to me. It really is. Jed Hoyer did not put together a team that is ready to tank, and then an easy sell-off happens after that. And he didn't put together a World Series contender by any means, right? They traded Yu Darvish, for God's sakes. That kind of indicated what Jed Hoyer was thinking. On the first day of spring training games, he called this a transition year. You don't win World Series in transition years unless you shock the world. So that's possible, I suppose. But more than likely, there's some sort of a sell-off. If they're 4 or 5 games out, it's a full sell-off in my world. If they're right there in the race, maybe they just sell Craig Kimbrell off and you get something for him and you have to keep some other guys. But one way or another, there's going to be changes before July 31st. I'd be pretty shocked if Kimbrell's on this team. I'd be very shocked if they go out there and buy some players for a pennant push. It's just not the right situation for that. But the standings will dictate some of this.
Jesse, who do you think that this team is going to be prioritizing in terms of building the next kind of roster around? Is it Javi Baez? Is it someone who's not on the roster right now? Who do you think that is?
Well, let's start with Nico Horner. This is a guy at second base that has just looked fantastic. Gold Glove finalist last year. People probably don't know that. Shortened year, struggled at the plate. He's come up way earlier than anyone expected. He was on his couch back in 19. His minor league season was over. Young player, had never gotten to AAA. Javi Baez hurt himself, and they brought him up in a pennant race in 19. Then he struggled in 20, kind of just finding his way, but went into the offseason making some changes, and he's looked great at the plate and in the field this year. That's a guy to build around. But he's not a slugger. He's a 300 hitter, put the ball in play kind of guy, but you can build around that along with Javi Baez. I think you keep Javi Baez. You sign Javi Baez. You take some bad with all the good that he brings, and you have Baez and Horner up the middle for the next half decade. And certainly, post 30 years old, you might worry about Baez and how he ages, but that's the case for any veteran player. Then there's some question marks, like Jason Hayward's going to come off the books, but that's not for 2 more years, right? Ian Happ looks pretty good lately. In center field, he could be a long-term solution there. What do you do at first base? You haven't re-signed Anthony Rizzo yet, so that's a question mark. And, of course, Chris Bryant's the big one. Scott Boras, his agent, you'd think more than likely he's going to go to free agency this year and move on if he's not traded by July 31st. So there's a couple guys you build around, I think, up the middle with Contreras behind the plate, Horner, Nico Horner, Baez, and Happ in center field.
Jesse, so while there's so many questions surrounding the Cubs, again, just 3 games back in the NL Central as they play the rubber match tonight against the Redbirds, there are no questions really as it relates to the on-field product of the Southsiders, the Chicago White Sox. There's just one glaring elephant in the room, and I want you to listen to this soundbite from Joon Lee just a couple weeks ago before we dive into this next round of questions. Here it is.
It'll be interesting to see kind of how Tony LaRussa as a manager kind of integrates into that clubhouse, given the fact that obviously he comes from more of an old school background, but there is a clubhouse there that is established. There's a clubhouse culture that is established there that he's going to have to fit into. It's not going to be the other way around.
All right, so that, of course, was Joon on April 1st right here on this program, and basically how we got here was Tony LaRussa not being happy about Yermin Mercedes blowing past a take pitch and taking this pitch yard while his team was already up substantially, saying he broke one of baseball's many unwritten rules, so on and so on and so on. Jesse Rogers, we've asked this whole question about unwritten rules as Joon Lee relishes his prediction being right just less than 2 months ago. But what do you make of that proclamation from Joon just a couple weeks ago and how it's essentially manifested itself less than 2 months later?
Yeah, this is interesting stuff. I think it's first of all, I'm entertained by the whole thing. It's not life and death, right? Unwritten rules, written rules. Here's my take. First of all, I kind of like Tony LaRussa, again, in sort of an entertaining kind of way. I like what Tim Anderson said the other day. We're his kids, and sometimes we're the bad kids. We don't behave. Like, they get there's that old school, new school dynamic going on. But I think there's a message here that has been lost, to be honest. Is showing good sportsmanship part of unwritten rules? I think we can all agree there is a line of where you can follow good sportsmanship and not necessarily cross it. And maybe Yermin Mercedes did. Maybe swinging 3-0 isn't the right thing. Now, I disagree. I think with a position player out there, all bets are off. But my point is, I think the way LaRussa handled it pregame and postgame was very inelegant, right? The things he said and how he said them were wrong. But maybe he had a point. We should have sportsmanship in our life, whether it be professional sports or all the way down to Little League. And remember, the professionals set the example. So blowing past the take sign is certainly wrong. And maybe swinging 3-0 is wrong. I don't know, but there was a better way of doing it. But I do think with a position player out there, all bets are off. I think the better argument is if it's not a rookie at the plate who's been in the minors for 10 years and it's not a position player on the mound, is there a point where you shut it down? Because I think we all agree you don't start stealing bases up by 10, 11, 12 runs. So there is a line, but the way LaRussa handled it was just very inelegant. That's the word I'll use.
Yeah, I would just say, I mean, I completely agree with Jesse in that sportsmanship definitely plays a role in all of this. But when you have a position player on the mound who's throwing in a 47-mile-per-hour little daisy in there, like, you have to expect that if the guy swings, he's probably going to hit it pretty far. In regards to how LaRussa handled the situation, I think the thing that bothers me the most is that why did he go out and do this in public and basically give permission and enable the Twins to throw at one of his players. And also kind of creating a very public relations divide between the clubhouse and the manager. Like with the Cubs, the White Sox, are in first place. They're one of the best teams in baseball. And we're talking about Tony LaRussa and the unwritten rules. Like, that should not be what's happening right now, given how good this team is, how exciting they've been to watch so far this year. And that kind of falls all on LaRussa, the fact that he went out there and made this kind of statement. It's an indictment on kind of his sensibilities, and I'm sure he didn't necessarily expect that after he made those comments that he was going to get called out by Tim Anderson on Instagram. I'm sure that wasn't something necessarily that he was thinking about.
So, Jesse, I want to...
yeah, you know, it's...
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it's funny that he made those comments. Maybe he made them publicly to protect his players from the Twins retaliating, and yet they still threw at Mercedes. So it really didn't work. It was a very strange episode where he was defending the Twins rather than his own player.
And I want to get out on this and on this topic. Joon mentioned it. You mentioned it. The White Sox, they're in first place. So it's not like they're going to make any drastic changes. And I know a lot of people are either pro what LaRussa, actually maybe not a lot of people, but a lot of people have very strong opinions on how this should be approached, right? You kind of have your old guard. But this isn't going to come to a head unless the White Sox start slipping and the product on the field at that point becomes a detriment, right, Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, there's almost no scenario where Tony LaRussa gets fired unless, you know, cancel culture pops up, like he really does something that he can't recover from. Their record is not going to get him fired. This sort of old school, new school, swinging 3-0 is not going to get him fired. It's just not. They're going to have some tougher times. You saw it this weekend. The Yankees swept them. The AL Central's not that great, so it's going to be the tests outside the division that will pop up. But none of it's going to get Tony LaRussa fired. I mean, it's his first year. If they underachieve a little bit, you know, they're going to live with it. And this is still a young team growing within itself, so and learning and all that stuff. So I think these are all questions for after the season if they underachieve.
Fantastic. Jesse, thank you so much for joining us here on Baseball Tonight Live and your insight on what's happening with the Cubs and the White Sox. Much appreciated, my friend.
You got it, guys. You're the best. Take care.
All right.
What's this? He is pointing to the bleachers. He's calling his gift.
You thought it was a one-off. You were wrong. The only thing he is better at than putting gifts together is being the greatest cabana boy at Silver Sands Beach and Tennis Club history. Who am I talking about? The guy on your screen. Joey G back for another installment of Call Your Gift. Joey G, what's good?
What an introduction. Guys, if you weren't with us last time, we have 3 plays, 3 gifts. I'm ready to go. Let's do it. Leading off, Royals, Tigers, and viewer discretion is advised.
Okay, that's dangerous.
You'll know it when you see it, guys.
That Anderson Cooper?
Is that Dr. Fauci?
Does he have pants on?
If only Miggy knew, guys, what was going on behind him.
I don't think
during that
Miggy
at-bat.
wanted to know what was going on behind him. All I can say is that guy was well covered. I hope he had an SPF of at least 15.
If that isn't me in 30 years.
Actually, yeah. Valid. That's valid.
I failed.
Well, what's the gift?
Let's go to the gift. It's coming, and it's got to be the Kevin Hart.
I don't know if Kevin Hart really wants to be taking a peek that in depth. But Joey G, if you think so.
I just love the confidence to be able to do that at a public facility and at a ballpark like that.
Thousands of people, TV cameras. Let me take my shirt off.
I respect the dude, but got to go with the public opinion on that gift. Just not a good look.
Joey G, it doesn't strike me that you, sir, would respect the tanning wherever and whenever. What's next?
So what's next? We have Jackie, Bradley, Jr., Braves, Brewers, Ozzie Albies sends one to deep center, and holy cannoli. What a catch, guys.
Here's the thing. Jackie Bradley Jr. might be the best outfielder I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes. And yes, I've seen Mike Trout play baseball. Joon Lee, I can see you staring at me out of my left periphery. And I never saw Ken Griffey Jr. play, and I'm too young to have seen Yaz.
I feel like
Tim
Jackie,
Salmon play.
I feel like Jackie also does something like this at least once a year.
This is like
pretty standard for
operating
Jackie.
procedure. What's the gift, Joey G?
Got the GIF. Welcome to Jackie Bradley's world. Jurassic Park, guys.
Jurassic Park
Absolute
play.
classic.
Are you scared of dinosaurs?
Me?
Yes.
I'm not scared of dinosaurs.
June, are you scared of dinosaurs?
I wanna ride a raptor down a hill.
Like a Ford Raptor? This show not sponsored by Ford, but it could be. Joey G. What's next?
We got one more, guys. And again, just give us some effort on this, please. Phillies, Nats, Juan Soto shoots one up the middle, and Gene Segura, whose man's is this? Dive, please.
I've seen this, and I'm not even upset, because sometimes, you reach a certain age, you don't want to bend over.
This is also like a real Little League baseball move. Like, this is one of those things where you see a 6-year-old trying to stop a baseball, and they can't catch it, they just throw their glove at it.
By any means necessary, Joey G. What's the GIF?
The GIF? We gotta go with easily my favorite GIF of all time. One of them at least. Bang! My guy. Just too funny. June, I'm gonna put you on the spot right here. If he hit the ball with his glove, do you know the penalty?
There's a penalty? I have no clue.
Is.
Ooh!
That's a great question. I have no idea.
All you gotta do is lay out, don't throw your glove, automatic triple.
You're joking.
I'm not joking.
You're joking.
What?
We are baseball professionals, Joey G. You can't make us look silly on our own program.
If I'm a professional in anything, it's trying to stay tan in May.
He's BSing. Joey G, that was Call Your GIF. We'll see you next week. Maybe. All right, Joey G, very much appreciated. You tap out. Who's about to tap in? It's not baseball tonight live without your boy, Clinton Yates. My first question to him, as we join him now, is Clinton, where the hell are you at?
This is so ratchet. I'm not even going to lie, but just look at this. Okay, so I'm in a lovely, lovely town known as Sacramento, California.
Heard of it.
Okay, if you're not familiar, it's the capital of the state. And the River Cats just took the lead because an individual whose name I forgot just went yard. But I have to show you some things around this ballpark, and that's what I'm going to do. First of all, look at this adorable little diamond. It's like a little kickball diamond. I don't know if you can see that, but it's great. It's like, I don't know, like a 12-foot home to first situation, and the kids are running around. It's all very fun. So
I'm taking anybody yard there, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing you could probably bunt it out, Gary. I would hope that would be part of your skill set. But, so there's this, and it's part of the, hold on, let's flip it. It's part of a little playground situation, which you can see here, and you can see it better here. You can see this lovely bridge in the background, by the way, as well. Shouts to Sacramento for their tremendous, tremendous urban planning. And also, this is the view. So, oh wait, that's not right. This is the view. So, like, if I go here, I'm stepping down. We're in right field, and you can see all the kids. Kids are doing cartwheels and this, that, and the third. And watch out, no horseplay. Anyway, so, this is what we have. We have a lovely situation here in Sacramento. I'm going to show you guys.
Clinton, why are you at the ballpark?
Well, I'm at the ballpark. I'm at the ballpark because there is a fundraiser for the for the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum game that's happening after this game. For those of you who remember Jerry Manuel from his days coaching in the big leagues, him and his son are coaching one team. And then Greg Vaughn, one-time 50-homer guy in the bigs, him and his son are going to be coaching the other team. I look weird. Anyway, and they're raising money for, Bob Kendrick and all those guys out in Kansas City with the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. So that's what I'm here for. I've shown you this right now. If you hang on, I'm going to show you the team shop and, of course, the beer garden. That's the fun part.
And that's called a tease. Your boy will check in with you later. Hopefully you haven't ventured too deep into the beer garden next time we check in.
Wait for it. Look at these kids.
TikToking. They're TikToking. They are TikToking well ahead of their time. Oh, is that a dab? The dab is not dead. I've been trying to say it.
We've rewinded back to 2016.
So we're here, live at Sutter Health Park, home of the River Cats in Sacramento. We're getting ready to go into the team store. This gentleman looks very enthused to let me in and yell and scream, but we'll see how this goes.
You should tell him to watch our show. He's making a cameo.
Gary, relax. I will. Reminder, do you see the people that are around me? I'm joking. So the River Cats, for those who don't know, are the AAA affiliate of the San Francisco Giants. So they send a bunch of guys up and down all the time. And everybody here halfway wears Giants gear, halfway wears River Cats gear. Let's go see some of the River Cats gear. So here's the thing about this logo. I don't want to be critical, but like I just want to be nostalgic.
RC Cola.
June's too young. Thank you, Gary. June's too young to know what RC Cola is.
I don't know what RC Cola is.
You have no idea what RC Cola is? Hold on. Do you have no actual idea what RC Cola is? Like,
I don't drink soda, but I also don't know what RC Cola is.
RC Cola is like a third grade cola. And by third grade, I mean like as in tiers, third tier cola.
Gotcha.
Behind Pepsi and behind Coca-Cola. That was popularized. My grandma was super popular. Anyway, long story short, they have some lovely caps, but they also have a nice array of, obviously, your Giants gear. So if you want to get this kind of two-tone number, a little 1, 2, 3. A 1, 2, 3, by the way, is when there are 1, 2, 3 colors on the same piece of bit. That's a cool cap. This is a cool cap. This is the part of the program where I remind you that Barry Bonds is the best baseball player of all time. Do not ever at me.
What is that tie-dye thing? Did you see that tie-dye
This is my
shirt behind
favorite. Yes, hold on. I'm getting to it. This is my favorite. It's the Sacramento in the, what's it called? Giants colors. So that's cool. All right, what are you looking for here?
There's like a big tie-dye shirt behind you. I want to see that.
So there's this. There's this guy. Is this what you're referring to?
No, there's like a blue and yellow tie-dye.
That could be the worst shirt of all time.
This is a pretty bad shirt. Oh, this guy.
Seen.
The Dorados, of course. You remember this. Okay.
Very Dragon Ball Z.
Do you like this?
What is it?
That's fire.
It's probably from last year, from when they did all of those. Do you remember when they did all of those Latino heritage community, Latino heritage month, I believe. Do you remember those?
Yeah,
They did a bunch. Yeah, so here's the other one.
You said last year the first thing I think of is on sale.
That's an awesome hat.
That is actually super
Tremendous
awesome.
hat. This is the one right here, though.
Mexican
Cerveza
wrestling?
Baseball.
Oh, that's awesome.
Tremendous lifestyle choices right there. Those are my favorite part. Look at these. Big effing balls, y'all.
Heck yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself, Yates.
All right, that's all I got, guys. So, yeah. Sutter Hill Park, pretty fun. And they got some pretty cool beers, too. Cerveza, baseball. That's the lifestyle. I'll see you guys later, yeah?
All right, Clinton, good stuff, man. Enjoy the park, enjoy the game, enjoy the event, my friend. Thanks for stopping in on Baseball Tonight Live, man. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Later.
Tatis Jr., who does it again.
Dodgers rolling tonight. That's a rock-solid play.
That is blasted.
We got a star on our hands.
You love to see it.
Nobody lives a more leisurely life than our friend Clinton Yates, who will be joining us next episode. So you love to see him gallivanting around the ballpark. You know what else you love to see, Joon? Your guy, Shohei Ohtani. Is anybody doing it better than him right now?
I feel like it's hard to put into words how incredible it is to just watch him on a night-to-night basis right now. There's no good comparison for him in athlete speak in general. Like, I think about Bo Jackson and Babe Ruth, and even with someone like Bo Jackson, he was an elite running back, and he was a pretty good power-hitting outfielder. Shohei Ohtani right now, if he was a full-time starter, is probably one of the favorites for the Cy Young. If he's just a hitter, he's an MVP candidate, and
league leader in home runs right now.
And somehow he's doing both. And
Acuna.
It's just one of those things where I feel like this should be a national sports story on a daily basis because of how incredible it is to watch.
Do you remember just a couple weeks ago where we were kind of prognosticating like this has to be the season because he's entering his fourth campaign with the Halos, and injuries have kind of hindered either one aspect of the game or another. And this is the year so far that he's been able to put it all together. And I don't think that even people who were his biggest supporters, expected him to be this efficient and this elite at both positions.
I think I expected him to be an elite pitcher.
Sure.
I did not expect him to be this good a hitter. I thought he was going to be an incredibly good hitter, but I did not expect him to be leading the league in homers. And it's one of those things where it just makes you dream of the possibility of sports, seeing another Shohei Ohtani in the future. Obviously, Ohtani is a generationally talented player, but it's one of those things where it's like I want Shohei Ohtani on a night-to-night basis, like being one of the top stories in baseball, because there's truly nothing else like it. He was getting so much attention this week from folks outside of the sport, and his velocity was down this week. I think there was some inflammation in his elbow, but I'm hoping he can stay healthy the entire season because it's truly a marvel to watch.
He's a good base runner, too. I can't say the same about Joey Gallo of the Texas Rangers, and here's exactly why. He showed us that, hey, pass ball, I'm going to get my way to first, and the catcher's not going for it, so let me go for 2! Except his foot got in the way of the bag. Or did the bag, Joon, get in the way of his foot? At any rate, the boys had to section off the crime scene. That tape is expensive, by the way. I've tried to buy some, and therein lies the scene of the crime for Joey Gallo. And Joon, as soon as I say this, you're not going to be able to unsee it. He kind of looks like Joey Fatone from NSYNC fame.
Wow, I did not. I think that's pretty spot on. That's pretty spot on.
All right, let's get through some of these. We got some bonus. You love to see it. It's like Fernando Tatis Jr., who, by the way, right now, thus far, is 3 for 3, 6 RBI in today's game, 2 home runs, one of them a grand slam. This was a couple of games ago where he did the full-on splits against the Rockies.
Yeah, I mean, Tatis, we were all a little concerned about him at the beginning of the season with a shoulder injury, and he's hitting .290 and his 13 homers and looks like one of the best players in baseball again.
He is the man. That did look dangerous initially, but obviously youth isn't wasted on the young in that regard. 34-year-old Tommy Hunter, 476 career games. Joon, he is a pitcher by trade. But yes, 476 games later, that is his first big league hit. And nobody, and I mean nobody, wanted the ball more than Tommy Hunter with the hip swivel, and nobody was more gracious after the fact. Here's Tommy.
Highlight, hands down, best thing I don't know. I have no idea. I jumped on first like a little leaguer. Man, it was crazy. That's the coolest thing I've ever done in the big leagues. I got a knock in the show. I'm like, oh, my heart is beating so fast. I mean, it was. I was nervous. And then I got it. Big league. I'm telling you, man, it's the coolest thing I've ever done. My wife sent me a video. My son was watching it. I mean, it's just, I don't know. That's definitely a highlight for me.
That's just so pure. That's just so pure. By the way, what does the F mean on that shirt, Joon?
Funyun.
Ah, that's right. TJ Hopkins of the Chattanooga Lookouts probably should have taken the advice of his team name because look out, here comes a gate. The gate was unlocked or like easily breakable. Anyway, a fantastic catch by Hopkins. This one, though, better. We're talking Utah high school softball. Bear River center fielder Olivia Taylor, Joon. Doesn't get better than this.
I just love this entire sequence. It's like a superhero like falling to catch something or something. It's amazing.
What do you think the purpose of that fence is?
To be a slight barrier?
Just a slight hindrance. All right. So from that game, by the way, Bear River did go on to win the state championship. So congratulations to them and Miss Taylor. Let's bring it back to tonight's rubber match against the Birds and the Cubs. Game 3, obviously, they're going to see themselves so many more times so far, or excuse me, for the rest of the season. One thing to look out for tonight's game.
I'm excited to see our fellow countryman, Tommy Edman. He's had a great season as one of the best players on the Cardinals so far, so I'm excited to see how Tommy Edman does tonight.
All right, and extending their lead in the NL Central, currently up 3 games on the second-place Chicago Cubs, and the Redbirds are actually dominant against the NL Central. They have the best record among competing teams in said division. Maybe that's the reason why they are in first place. So here's the thing. If you want to watch Cubs Cardinals, sign into your cable provider to watch on ESPN and, of course, on ESPN, the app. We'll see you next Sunday. I got to make sure I get all of these words right, guys. That's what I'm reading. We're going to preview Braves-Mets. So we're going to enjoy the game here in just 1 second. Okay, that's one thing to watch for the Redbirds. What about the Cubs?
The Cubs? Mm-hmm. What is another thing to watch? I'm just excited to see how this season. There's Nolan Arenado. Zach Davies on the mound. He's got a 5.58 ERA, 23 strikeouts. We'll see if he can bring that down a notch.
Nolan Arenado, though, team lead in RBI and home runs. I'm still so mad at the Rockies for just giving him away.
They paid money to get rid of him.
I know. That doesn't make any sense. The aging Chris Bryant, as we talked about at the top of the show. We showed the full screen graphic.
He's 30 years old.
I know, but we literally talked 30 minutes ago about how the Cubs need to rebuild and retool. That's kind of phenomenal that he was part of the 2016 World Series champs.
Paul Goldschmidt.
Another player who was just kind of like, all right, here you go. D-backs could have kept him.
Yeah.
All right, guys, enjoy Cubs, Cardinals. That's Joon Lee. I want to thank Jesse Rogers for stopping by, and of course, Clinton Yates for stopping by. Those are the Korean Heart Hands. I'm Gary Striewski. We'll see you guys next week.